The classic Smash dynamic. Sword versus burst range. We've seen it since Melee, where the Fox players would run up before Marth could put out a hitbox. Meanwhile, Marth using his hitboxes keeps Fox out with his limited range. It's still a huge factor in how to play Smash today, unless you have both. Today, we're going to be looking at how Kome, the best Shulk in the world, deals with two top Japanese Falcon players who both try to deal with Kome's sword usage. Both these Falcons have a very unique and different approach to getting around that range disadvantage, but both of them revolve around the threat or the use of burst range. So if you are a sword user and you want to keep the stubby opponents out, this is a video for you. If you are a stubby opponent and you want to get into the sword player's range, then this is the video for you. As always, if you want to support me, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let's get into the video. Yeah, the Japanese metagame is very different. What's making you analyze the Japanese Falcons? So I posted a video a while ago, I think last week. So if you go to my video, it's a Kome analysis. So I did an analysis of Ken, and then I did an analysis of Kome. And in the analysis, I asked people, okay, so which characters would you like to see next? And Tsuba, who's a really good Falcon player, asked me to analyze the Japanese Falcons versus Kome. And I thought that was really interesting. So that's what we're going to do. So this matchup is super weird, guys, because there are some Shulks who think it's legitimately one of Shulk's harder matchups. However, I personally think Falcon gets destroyed by Shulk. That said, if you play too patient against Falcon as Shulk, you kind of get rolled over because Falcon's main weakness, or one of his main weaknesses in my opinion, is that he struggles to handle pressure. So you need to pressure Falcon if you want to actually succeed against him. So let's see how Kome does in this match. It's going to be game number 1. And I kind of want to just see the first stock, analyze from there, and then we can kind of review. So let's see. Okay, very slow gameplay. Oof. Okay. Yeah, that's a common Falcon issue. He's constantly putting himself in the corner. Look at it. Look at the room he's giving Kome, and then he just throws at the burst range, right? What's up, PJ? Okay, a little bit janky, but against Shulk, it's definitely a good option. Uh-oh. Downer every time. Yo, Lancelot with the raid as well. You guys are just in time. We're like, yeah, these Falcons are super patient. What is Falcon's win condition versus Shulk? It's actually pretty hard to say. I think the main thing is trying to like rush Shulk down and intercept the aerials. Because side B is not a great option against Shulk. Let's see. Okay, so we get the dash grab. Oh, Kome. So, yeah, we're reviewing the first stock, and then we're kind of like gonna rewind and see what patterns we can notice. Another, I mean? But let's get to you. Let's get to you. Kome is making so many mistakes. So why is Shulk peak even? Dude, give me some time. Give me some time. Okay. Totemo umai. God, this Falcon plays so. This is such an annoying playstyle. That's true. Aki does have the flexi roll. Okay. So wow, what a playstyle. So what I've noticed from this Falcon, and okay, so I'll tell you guys how what I think, how I would play against this player is I would just play very non-committal and wait for the moment where he establishes his burst range and then try to punish that. Because the way he establishes his burst range is with his specials, and Falcon's specials are a little bit too laggy. So the reason why Falcon cannot really rely on especially side B and neutral is that Shulk's back air especially just kind of stomps all over that move. Because the back air occupies the same space that Falcon wants to be in when he's side B'ing. So Falcon cannot really make use of super armor to get through anything. So Shulk's back air is extremely good at walling Falcon out. And what Falcon wants to do is he wants to like weave in the burst range and then he wants to like jump over a potential backer. So you need to be a very active threat against Shulk. And if you don't, then Shulk can kind of push you into the corner and then counterplay your out of the corner options basically. So let's see if we look at the game. Let's see how the players position on stage, right? So the Falcon immediately corners himself, and Kome grabs as much stage control as possible. So what we see is we already see like an advantage for Kome in a way. But then he overcommits, and Falcon gets out of the corner. So let's keep that in mind, right? Falcon jumping out of the corner. Now Falcon immediately corners himself again. And the reason he makes it out is because he's establishing burst range and using it to set up his pressure. So basically, because his burst range is so threatening, he can use that time to set up a landing aerial. The thing is, this is not really possible against Shulk, because Shulk's back air counterplays the burst range, and it occupies the space in which Falcon can set up a landing aerial. The only way for Falcon to really counterplay that walling is by staying grounded and going for something like parries, but this Falcon isn't really using shield. So I'm curious why Kome is not just setting up a back air wall in this situation. There's the direct approach. Now Kome pushing it as far as he can. And again, he jumps out of the corner, right? So I think what I really don't like about this Falcon playstyle is how he puts himself into the corner repeatedly and then kind of has to scramble to make it out. The reason why he makes it out is because I think Kome, he doesn't really know how to commit in this matchup, it seems like, because he's not committing in the walling situations when his commitment is really strong. And he's not really he's not waiting for the opponent when the opponent's cornered. So we saw last time the opponent was cornered, he did some fake outs to kind of pressure Kome, but it generally didn't matter much, and they generally lose to walling. So when the opponent's in the corner at that kind of distance, at this kind of distance between these like bubbles, Kome wants to preemptively wall out to cover landing aerials, to cover burst range, and to generally just, you know, force Falcon to play very grounded. And then when Falcon plays grounded, Shulk can use that time to set up strong like landing mix-ups. We don't see Kome play that way at all. We see him play very reactive, but then in a situation like this, when he should be reactive or baiting, he lets Falcon jump over. And the first time he went for a grab, right? So a preemptive grab, which turned out to be wrong, fair enough. But this time he was just kind of, he gave Falcon way too much respect in my opinion. Right? So a little bit late on the up tilt. So again, the Falcon, and this time he goes for the burst range. Right, so this is kind of what I'm talking about, in the sense that in this range, you want to preemptively stop Falcon from doing anything. And in this situation, we saw the whiff on the down tilt. Shulk's down tilt actually one of the most punishable down tilts in the game, if we look at like swordy down tilts. So if we like compare like a Crom, who's like one of the best down tilts in the game, right, to like a Shulk, and I'm comparing top tiers because Shulk is a top tier. This down tilt is active for 21 frames. Shulk's down tilt is active for, 31 frames. So it's 1.5 times as long. So the Falcon, he's basically saying, hey, I'm going to try to pressure you with burst range, so you need to like contest my burst range. But the way Kome is contesting it is not the right way. He needs to not contest it with something like down tilt. He needs to use the time that the Falcon is, you know, dashing around to set up strong landing positions. And I think the reason why this Falcon is succeeding is because Kome is not doing that. That said, though, this Falcon is also staying out of Shulk's burst range. Shulk's burst range is kind of bad, and tried to stay in his own burst range with, for example, the side B. And I think that playstyle paradigm is very telling of like Japanese playstyles, where Japanese players like to play very reactive, and they like to like capitalize on their opponent whiffing, so that they don't really put themselves in a bad situation. Very interesting to see so far. I have to say I'm analyzing a little bit more of Kome than the Falcon, but I mean I think it's definitely I think a lot of the reason why the Falcon is succeeding in the first stock is because Kome is kind of messing up. Right, and this is kind of this is the counterplay, right? So if Kome, God, I hate how spacebar sometimes doesn't work. So we're gonna go back. So if Kome right here, press K, okay, thank you. If Kome misses a forward air, or like a back air, Falcon can jump over and set up landing pressure. So this is like what I would like to see in this matchup. And then it becomes more of like a spacing mix-up rather than a move mix-up. And then Kome misses the punish on the spot dodge, which is very telling for Shulk. He doesn't have the frame data. Very committal ledge trapping by the Falcon. A very committal follow-up by Kome. Kome has always been weird to me because he hard commits to everything he does, and he kind of coasts by on Shulk's high reward, in my opinion. And there's the Falcon kick out of the corner. From corner to corner, it doesn't really improve his status. Right, and there we see the burst range again. Very, very well done. Okay, rising there. And kick out of the corner. Right, so I think... So one of the biggest flaws you can abuse in these type of opponents, like the Falcon, is that they are eventually going to establish their burst range. So you can play around their their movement and try to stay in their burst range, and by not committing, eventually they're going to be like, oh, I have an opportunity to commit, and they're going to try to hit you. And then you can punish that. So in other words, like, people who use burst range eventually are often the easiest to beat because the only thing you need to do is not commit until they use the burst range. And this Falcon is not mixing up his burst range with enough pressure. We've seen him get like landing aerials like once or twice into like decent situations, but it hasn't really been a factor where it's like, oh, I'm gonna threaten my burst range and then use the time to set up. Instead, he threatens his burst range, waits for Kome to go first, and then kind of hopes Kome makes a mistake that he can punish, which is a very good way to play against like more patient players like Kome. But in my opinion, again, it kind of does rely on your opponent making a mistake. He's not forcing errors. Here come the landing aerials. Yep. Ooh, the overshoot. Okay. Fair enough. Yep, catch the jump. That could have been a kill. So, Kome playing safe, cannot, like, it was a 50-50, right? It was a 50-50. Kome thought the Falcon was going to be more risky and, like, air dodge inward, something like that. Nice recovery by the Falcon. Again, kick out of the corner, right? So this Falcon, Jogibu, I think his name is. His entire playstyle is based around leveraging burst range. So if you want to know more about like playing a patient burst range based playstyle, this is basically what you're looking for. The thing is, I think he can get a lot more mileage out of the burst range by basically setting up landing aerials and like stuff like that dash attack. It doesn't get punished. So like a lot of these wins are more so Kome making a mistake rather than Jogibu forcing a mistake. And I think that is a big difference between like high and top level. Whereas a high level player will be good at punishing mistakes, they aren't good yet at forcing mistakes. And that really only happens when you reach like more of a top level, I would say. Okay. Yep. There's the burst range. Who would have known? This Falcon has not grabbed in neutral once, right? But Kome plays around it constantly. Another important aspect of playing as Falcon is that you need to push your advantage state very far. What's up, loading? Yep, offline gameplay. And Kome is kind of dropping his advantage states a lot. He's been dropping it since the first moments of the game. That was a guaranteed punish for Falcon, but okay. I'll be out of shield and buster is not safe, by the way, guys, just so you know. Nice interception. There's the grab. Not a grab in neutral, by the way. That was just a whiff punish. Yeah, so if you threaten burst range, there's basically two things you can do, right? So again, you can set up landing aerials, but you can also grab people who are kind of anticipating the burst range. So this is something, if you want to know more about that, you should watch Mr. R, because Mr. R is really good at that. So basically, Kome has a shield to preemptively, you know, because of the threat of the side B, because of the threat of the dash attack. And then with that, you know, when he's anticipating those tools, you just run up and grab. The way Shulk can kind of avoid playing this mix-up is by using preemptive back air walling. Very important. But because Kome is not establishing preemptive back air walling, and he's not playing into the burst range very well, he's definitely not getting as much out of situations as he can. Because it's basically like a mix-up whether Shulk is gonna wall or not, and then if he doesn't wall, then it's a mix-up whether Shulk is gonna shield or not, or if he's gonna, you know, do something defensive to avoid a call-out grab or a landing aerial. I'm going back. I like the stage. This is Spear Pillar, right? Should be. So if you're setting up burst range, take advantage of the opponent's preemptive defensive option. Yeah, exactly. So the burst range is the burst range because the opponent cannot react to what you're doing. So if they want to avoid your burst range, they need to do so preemptively. And that preemptive thing, you can take advantage of. Usually not by establishing the burst range, because the burst range itself is being played around. But if it's like a preemptive dashback, you can corner them. If it's preemptive shield, you can grab them or set up a landing aerial. If it's a preemptive jump, you can try to like catch their landing, etc., etc. So oftentimes what this Falcon is doing is he's establishing burst range, and then he's waiting to try to punish Kome for playing around the burst range preemptively. However, Kome is not doing that, which is then forcing the Falcon to retreat, because he wants to like stay out of Kome's burst range. And that way he's constantly walking himself to the corner. And it's a good playstyle against someone who commits. But if you play against someone like Kome who doesn't commit, it usually doesn't work. And the hits that he has gotten were very much reliant on Kome making a little bit of a mistake. Like, for example, not punishing the burst range, etc., etc. Alright? So, something like that. Jogibu is up 1-0. You can see that this is Kome because it's only like two parts of the word. Kome, right? That's usually how I recognize Kome. And then you don't want to go in Buster against Falcon. He does a lot of damage. No problem, Daniel. You're always welcome to ask questions. That's why I'm here for. Or what I'm here for, I should say. Yep, so here we see the preemptive walling getting beaten out, actually. That was a very close shave. How many frames are we in? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, 1 frame off of being able to shield. So very good whiff punish by Jogibu. And this is also why I recommend generally using back air. Because back air generally it occupies so much space that you cannot really whiff punish it in that way. Alright, good night, Kite. And it kind of forces your opponent to jump over the back air, which you can then abuse very, very well. So much reward because it's Falcon. Nice parry on the back hit off the nair. Very reactable. Okay, nice down throw up B. Oh, yeah, nice. That was good. That was really good. Look at this. Kome playing a lot more active, and it's been working out. He got whiff punished for it once, but generally, like these preemptive nairs, they're working out very well. Do you think Shulk should really preemptively wall out with nair, what Kome kind of does? So I think walling out preemptively with nair is not the greatest because the back hit of nair is reactable with parry, which we actually saw Jogibu do once, where he parried the nair preemptively. I think back hit nair walling is only good if the opponent has a tendency to jump, which Jogibu doesn't really do. So no, I don't think back hit nair walling is great, but he can preemptively front hit nair wall, and he can preemptively back air wall. Shulk showing his back to the Falcon is good for threatening back air walling and to threat Shulk nair to catch a possible jump over it. Exactly. So the back air kind of covers the ground, and then the nair kind of covers the air. And in a lot of situations, if you don't want to commit to the back air because you think they might jump, you can also do like an early nair, which is really good because the early nair, it comes out, I think, like frame 13. And it has like a diagonal upwards hitbox, so it can catch jumps as well. And it's only like -2 or -3, so it's pretty safe as well against grounded approaches. 6 frames landing lag, so it's hard to whiff punish as well. Whereas like a full nair, where you do like the full back hit, is a lot more reactable and in turn a lot weaker. It's only really good if the opponent commits to a button themselves. Ooh, that's unfortunate. That's unfortunate. Ooh, tries to get the job with the up air. Oh, yep. Falcon kick from the corner. Why does it work every single time? But it's okay. He's been doing a lot of neutral air from ledge. Not something you want to do as Falcon. If Kome hits him out of that, even in Buster, he dies, but it's okay. Yep. Burst range gets established. Dash up jab. Ooh. Kome's wheel was messed up there. You can see it. If you look at Kome, you can see the glow behind him, right? So after 10 frames, it opens the window. So I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So he didn't hold B long enough to switch to shield, but he definitely wanted to. He probably thought he had a little bit of Monado dial or Monado charge dial storage, whatever. So Monado storage dial charged. Hey, so he messed up there, but it's okay. You don't want to go on Buster against Falcon generally, and that's why he's losing so far. Pretty interesting. Jogibu, again double jumping to the stage, this should be it. Okay, and this is what we're talking about. You need to punish the Falcon for those things. But it should be fine. Oh my goodness. he really pulled that out. He really pulled that out. Yeah, I think we've seen generally what this Falcon likes to do. And I'm not a fan personally. I would like to see the final game. I don't know if this is best of 3 or best of 5. Let's see. Is this best of? Oh no, it's best of 3. So we'll watch the final stock just for a little bit more analysis. Oh yep, early gimp. That's generally the matchup, honestly. I don't know why, but Kome uses bear really weirdly. Yeah, Kome's move choice is generally a little bit strange to me too. Oh, Buster. What would you ban against this Falcon? Why are you analyzing Falcon? Because a viewer requested it. Oh, nice tech. So a Falcon like this, I would definitely just ban like something like Battlefield, because the way he plays is pretty predictable in the sense that he relies on his burst range. So all you need to do is basically, like, he doesn't have a good mix-up. So all you have to do is basically deny the burst range, and all the factors that kind of allow him to do other things, you need to eliminate those factors so that you can focus on, you know, like abusing the one weakness that you know you can abuse every single time. Falcon also just does really well with platforms. So if he does get a hit when you do mess ups and you get hit by burst range, by banning platforms, you're minimizing a worst case scenario. Have you done coaching sessions with USA students? Yes, actually, I think about half my students are American. So I do a lot of sessions with USA students. I've played with USA students, especially East Coast ones, but also West Coast ones, for better or for worse. But I've done like VOD review. I've done a lot of stuff. So yeah, I definitely coach USA students. Don't you want to go to smaller stages? I would say no. I would actually rather go to large stages, because generally this Falcon likes to corner himself. So the size of a stage doesn't matter too much, because he's going to put himself in the corner. So a bigger stage might actually be better, because that means you have more of like a room to retreat when he does eventually corner himself. Whereas if he corners himself on a smaller stage, it's less of a big advantage, because you go back to like the center stage so quickly. Whereas on the larger stage, he has to fight more to get out of the corner. But yeah, this looks basically over after the early gimp. He Falcon kicks again, yeah. Very, very burst range reliant. Not a big fan of his playstyle. Let's see if we can actually analyze the next Falcon too. Nishiya. So I assume this is a very different playstyle. We'll see, we'll see. No, he corners himself regardless of the stage size, so it doesn't really matter. Okay. Again, we'll watch the first stock and then we review afterwards. Nice. That was good. Oh, I like this. Oh, look at this. I knew I said we were gonna watch the first stock and then review. But look at this. We get this mid-range where the Falcon is gonna bait with his burst range, right? Dash in and out of the burst range, empty hop. Kome preemptively down tilts, more burst range. And this preemptive down tilt shows that Kome wants to keep the Falcon out, right? He's pushing the Falcon out. So the Falcon knows Kome is respecting the burst range. So what he does is he instead goes for a landing there, crosses up as well, and then pressures from there. Very well done. Kome's rollout was good, but very, very well done by the Falcon. That's exactly what we were talking about before. Okay. And the dash grab. Guys, this is exactly what we talked about. When your opponent's anticipating burst range, you either set up a landing aerial or you call it out with the grab. He called it out with the grab. That's perfect. Dude, Nishiya, thank you. So well done. Nice. Okay. I like that. I like the offstage pressure. Oh, Kome dropped it again. These Falcons are living for way too long in this matchup. You should be dying at these percents easily. So this is one thing that you could implement against Shulk yourself. Is his rising nair is not an amazing tool. It's pretty reactable. And then afterwards it's like, okay, what does he do? Another rising nair when you're in his face, and then he hits the rising hitbox and he's unsafe. So in a lot of ways, like rising nair for Shulk, definitely a tool that mostly works because the opponent messes up, right? Very, very counterplayable. Nice parry. Definitely accidental. Ooh. Nishiya. Very safe ledge trap. So he's covering the roll and the jump from here, right? And then mixing it up with the dash grab too. That's very well done. Ooh, I'm surprised I missed. Ooh, the call out on the jump. So that's kind of like the flip side, right? When the opponent knows that you're not going to establish your burst range, they can call out your movements. So that's basically what Kome did right there. Very well done, very well done. Yeah, B on the Buster, big damage. Not that it matters at these percents. Quickly just doing some social media stuff. Speed, nice. Ooh, okay. He had the right idea, but Nishiya with the defense. Oh, and look at that. This time, Nishiya committing to an aggressive ledge trap, and then Kome rolls past it. So very, very good recognition from Kome right there. Oh. Oh, that was a shame. But again, we see the burst range being the vital factor for Falcon's pressure. And I think the reason why Falcon can be a little bit subpar at times is that his burst range isn't always rewarding. His side B now is a lot better, but against something like Shulk punishes side B very consistently. So you have to rely more on something like dash attack, which can also be punished, but is a little bit harder to punish because of cross-up possibilities, as well as down B, which in and of itself just isn't an amazing move. Nice. Push him, push him, push him. That could have been very bad for Nishiya, that double jump back to the stage. Yep. Using the walling back airs. And then, yep. So, I think when we look at the previous Falcon, his issue was that he had a very good like basic style that works against a specific type of player, but he didn't have a mix-up to force mistakes. I think with Nishiya, it's kind of the opposite, where he mixes up a little bit too much. So, in this situation, we saw Kome get the kill with the up tilt call out, right? So Nishiya is in the corner. He tries to get the backer, almost hits it. Messes up right there. And then when he gets back into the corner, he just runs into the walling. But we see Kome wall so much, like preemptive nair, preemptive up air, preemptive down tilt, and then a preemptive forward air. So like, if I was Nishiya in this situation, I would instead focus on that burst range. So I think Nishiya, in terms of like player versus player skills, needs to work a little bit more on mixing up with a little bit more purpose. So he does mix up well, in the sense that he knows, hey, when I do a lot of this strong thing, I can use this other strong thing to kind of force my opponent into mistakes. But he mixes it up a lot, it seems like, for the sake of mixing it up, which leads him to get hit in like really weird times. His disadvantage also seems a little bit bad. He jumps out a lot. That's exactly what I was gonna say. Exactly when he jumps. So he jumps out there, and then right here he jumps out as well. Definitely a bad habit. There we see it. Yep. Nice. Punishing the walling, the preemptive walling. Intercepting. Yep, Nishiya definitely has a good handle on how to play this matchup. Greedy as hell. Does he die for it? No. Okay. Nice. That is a punish. That's a hard punish. That down tilt is not safe. That should have been a bead. I know you cannot beat at these percents, but you can trade the damage for sure. Especially since you can shield Monado out of up smash in some situations. Okay. Nice pressure, Kome. Okay. Yeah, I definitely think Nishiya's defense is a little bit subpar. But part of it is Falcon, right? Falcon's defense isn't great. There's the up from the ledge. Nice bait by Kome with the directional air dodge. Up tilt. Yep, that's the double jump out of this advantage again, and then Falcon kick out of the corner. I really want to see, especially against speed, I want to see Nishiya go for more like high approaches. And while I like, yeah. Oh, there's side beat. Yep. And this is I'm surprised Kome didn't do this last game, where like this full hop beats all of the burst range without being super vulnerable. So it means that in a lot of situations he can just kind of preemptively do this and wall out if the opponent doesn't establish anything, and most of the time like avoid burst range as well. Oh, that was a kill. That was really smart. I'll explain this to you guys. So he had a Monado dial stored. So instead of going in landing lag here, he opens the dial. As you can see, we talked about this before. It takes about 10 frames normally. Right now it's 1, 2, 3. Dial's open. And then he selects the art. Becomes invincible. Dodges the grab. You can see the grab lag animation on Falcon. And then he gets the, I think this is the tilt snapback to prevent the kill. But that was fucking sick. That's not easy to do. Like presence of mind wise. Uh-oh, Kome disadvantage. Oh. So now there's a chance. Yeah, that was sick. That was sick. Now there's a chance. The dash attack, nice. So he's establishing the burst range now. Understanding that Kome definitely not playing around it as much as he could be. There. Kome. You don't want to activate smash in neutral, man. Lucky on the jab. Okay, Nishiya is... So this is the part of Nishiya that mixes up in all the right moments, right? So we talked about this before, how Nishiya maybe mixes up a little bit for the sake of mixing up. But in this situation, it feels like he's mixing up at all the right moments, which is really impressive. It just looks like he's in this type of flow, and then he's lucky that the up B doesn't hit him. That's a shame. Kome kind of messing up on the edge guards a lot of times, honestly. Let's watch one more game. Actually, let's see. How many games does this go? No, it's actually a short set. It is winners finals, so it's actually only 2 games. Okay. In that case, we can just watch the rest of the set. Okay. Pretty interested in this playstyle. I want to see what makes Nishiya decide to mix up, you know what I mean? Because right there, he throws at the burst range. But then he's suddenly kind of playing super patiently. And there from the ledge again. Oh, this, guys, I need you guys to start doing this against Shulk. This Nair is reactable. Like, this is frame 13 by the time it's all the way over here, and by the time it hits, it's like frame 30. This is reactable. You can always parry it. And there's the down air. Nice. Nice jab. Good punish. Nishiya with some great pressure here. Almost gets the offstage pressure, and then the back air, and then the down air. Oh, he had a jump. Okay. There's the weird jump out of disadvantage again. Yeah, I get it, because Falcon's double jump is actually pretty good for pressure because he has such a good fast fall, so you can oftentimes... Oh, he got his jump. So you can oftentimes like jump out of disadvantage and then fast fall and really mix up your timing well. But the way Nishiya is doing it is a little bit too committal. Nice by Kome. Yeah, Kome dropping a lot of these edge guards. It's not looking pretty. And then refuses to die. So I think a pattern with all the Japanese Falcons is that they're not the greatest at killing. I see them go like super deep offstage for the down airs, and it seems to me like that's a symptom of the fact that they don't really kill in advantage state otherwise. So if they get a little bit better at like back air walling as a ledge trap, finding back throw kills at the ledge, for example, stuff like that, I think that will do a lot for them. Also like juggles. Like Falcon has good juggling because he has so much speed, so he can do like a very good grounded juggle, where he like side B's your landing, or dash grabs your landing, or jumps up and up airs, and just the mix up between like chasing you and staying on the ground is already really strong. And then on the ground he has a good mix up between like a strong attack and side B and a strong grab as well. And I think like generally just finding those kills in advantage state that is not through like jumping off the stage and down airing, I think that is just going to help a lot with the Falcon killing issue here. Look at this. It's always run off down air or like run off jump on down air, which limits your timing. Not a big fan. And then the Falcon kick gets the kill. Not how you want to kill your opponent. Okay. Nice cross up by Kome, avoids the pressure. Yeah, Nishiya really relies on jumps as a defensive measure and going high. Yeah, he definitely a pattern. But I understand because low as Falcon is scary. So in a sense, it's good because like it's better to go high and take damage than to go low and die for it. But the fact of the matter is that Kome hasn't really been punishing low recoveries too much at all. Nice empty hop. Forward air. Save the jump. Yep. Jump out of the corner? No, roll out of the corner. Okay. Yeah, Kome commits very hard in the corner. I don't think that's very good to do against Falcon. Because Falcon likes to like reverse out of the corner, right? He doesn't really like to slowly make his way out of the corner. He like rolls in, Falcon kicks, or jumps out. And you can beat all of those by being a little bit more reactive rather than this active. Ooh, that was kind of sick. Finally catches out the high recovery. And the nice thing is he only needs one of those, right? Because he kills so early with those high catches. Down throw. Oh, bye-bye, Shield Monado. Oh, is he dead? No way. Oh, Nair. Oh, it skipped. Okay, Kome had 170, so he's. This is the kill issue again. That. Oh, that is it. Oh, Nishiya won both games. I see. Yeah, that is true. That is true. How did he win the first game again? Jab, jab, jab. Jackson. Was it a Falcon kick? Don't spoil it for me. Oh, right, I remember. He went to smash at a bad moment, lost his momentum, and then he messed up the recovery and then got the back air. Yeah, so I think generally not a big fan of the Nishiya playstyle, but I think it's better than Jogibu. I think Jogibu's playstyle is like a little bit too one-dimensional. Nishiya, though, definitely a little bit too heavy on the mix-ups in situations where I think you don't need to mix it up, right? So I think it's very important against a player like Kome, especially, who's just going to do his own thing, to do the thing that beats it, you know, instead of like mixing it up, constantly staying active. You can just focus on like that one weakness and just focusing on beating that weakness repeatedly. That's how I beat like lower level players, is I figure out, okay, what is the one thing they always do? And then I avoid all the other things. I wait for them to do the one thing they always do, and then I beat them for that. So for example, like a Jogibu who eventually uses burst range, it's a lot easier to beat. Nishiya looks hard to fight because of how well he mixes up his burst range with like the rest of his pressure. He is not afraid to grab, which is really good. But overall, I think he mostly wins because Kome drops like a lot of advantage state, whereas the advantage state for both Nishiya and Jogibu were very clean, outside of the downers off stage, which I think were very much overcommittal. Yeah, interesting games. Thank you, Tsuba, for recommending those. I'm gonna